Let me start off right with the problem. My two best friends in the world are male, and I've slept with both of them. It's not as bad as it seems, though. It's not like I have feelings for either of them. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, gonna go over a story titled, I, a 33-year-old female, have slept with both of my best friends, and my boyfriend of 4 years isn't comfortable with that. And guys, this story is about a gal. She's posting her story online, and long story short, she's having this little bit of a dilemma with her boyfriend. Turns out that he found out that her two best friends, who are guys, she had relations with way back in the day. One, I think, not very many times, but the other one, non-stop for like 8 months. They lived together, all that. He finds this out, doesn't take it too well. And you know what? No one can blame him. And so she's posting her story online, having issue with this, and the usual labels like insecure and that type of crap. When at the end of the day, as I've said countless times on this channel and the other, women should not be having friends that, if you're in a relationship with a gal, serious relationship, and it's going somewhere, her best friend shouldn't be guys. She shouldn't be hanging out with other dudes, especially guys that she's hooked up with quite regularly in the past. That ain't going to happen, because there could be a lot of trouble there, either with her or with those guys. Because even if, let's just say for argument's sake, devil's advocate, she's done with them, there's no connection left anymore, still one of those guys, or any of those guys, could still be the hots for her and be just waiting for his moment when you get into an argument or a fight for his chance. And also, frankly, you don't want her to be out with her and have her hanging around with dudes that have seen her naked and know what she's like. It ain't gonna work. Now, if that ever happened, pretty much you got to give her a choice. You can be friends with them or you can be with me, but you're not going to have both. And be strong enough to walk away. And you're going to see this story, guys, that as we go through this, she's going to quickly realize, well, maybe this guy actually was right about this. So, getting started, she says, I'll be breaking this into sections, just want to keep it all in chronological order. You can scroll down to part 3 for the actual issue with my boyfriend. She says, part 1, the background. She really breaks us into a novel here, but it's very interesting, and you can learn a lot from this. Let me start off right off with the problem. My two best friends in the world are male, and I've slept with both of them. It's not as bad as it seems. It's not like I have feelings for either of them. They're both childhood friends whom I've known for years and years. So I love them both with all my heart. Yeah, and something else down there, honey. But the thought of being in a relationship with either of them is unfathomable. So, best friends that are guys, hooked up with, what's the problem? Well, a lot of things. One of them, we'll call him Rob, is married now, but we had a brief relationship senior year of high school. We broke up after less than a year for several reasons. I wanted to travel abroad for university, he wanted kids, and I didn't. His mother didn't think I was a good fit for him, I know, but we still remain friends. Well, probably his mom was right. The other, we'll call him John, is a bit more complicated. I would never date him because he has serious issues. And it's not so much the issues that stop me from dating him, but the fact that he adamantly refuses any kind of help or therapy for them. He had some major childhood trauma, and that he's a big time repressing, and it's affected his ability to have a relationship. He's a bit of a womanizer. Now we're getting into it. This is the damaged friend. He's damaged, got issues, bit of a womanizer, and I would never date him, but I don't mind hooking up with him. After I got back from university abroad, I was 23 and all alone, and I needed a place to live. His parents had moved out to a condo on the beach, and they let John live in their old house. And he offered me one of the spare bedrooms for very low rent. I think John had an ulterior motive there. Come on in, live at the house, low rent. What could go wrong? So we lived there for a while without incident. I dated a guy for like 2 years, and John had a constant stream of women in and out of his bedroom. We discovered a system that worked for us, and we became even closer than ever. Define closer. The problem was, one night after about a year, I broke up with my ex, and we hung out at the house alone and got drunk together. You can see where this is going. We were both super horny and hooked up, and we had amazing, she wrote that in giant letters, sex. Like really mind-blowing. I don't know if it was because I was drunk or because I only slept with 2 other people in my life who were both subpar. Rob and I were virgins when we had sex like twice before we broke up, and one of the main reasons I split with my other ex was sexual incompatibility. But either way, it was great and we didn't want to stop. So I kept hooking up for about 8 months. She hooked up with this dude for 8 months and they stayed friends and they hang out, and she expects her boyfriend at present time to be okay with that? You gotta be shitting me. I think someone loves to have a constant source of male validation around and know that she could have them like that if she wanted to. At that point, one of his old exes came back into his life, and he realized he had feelings for her. We tried to stop hooking up, but quite frankly, we had no self-control. I realized was 29 and had a steady job, and there was no reason that I shouldn't move out. So I left. We had one last night of SCX the day before I moved out, and agreed to never talk about it again. So she admitted that even though at the time this guy had a girlfriend, they had such chemistry, she was still hooking up with him. So he was cheating on his girlfriend, and she was cheating with him on, she was participating in the cheating going on here. So this says something here. Part 2, the boyfriend. You can skip this section, I suppose. It just talks about how my boyfriend, who we'll call him Sam, and I got together and outlined some of his insecurities and why this made a problem for him. Well, I will read this part because it's important about her boyfriend here. And notice she says insecurities. It ain't insecure of him to have an issue with her having best male friends who she hooked up with one particularly for 8 months nonstop, and actually longer than that. Sam has been a longtime coworker of mine. We started working together when I got my job at 26. He was 29 and getting divorced. He told me all about what was happening. He and his wife got married way too fast. She had broken up with her ex, and 5 months into dating Sam, she discovered she was pregnant with her ex's child. Discovered? Yeah, sure. She found a nice guy to be a stepdad. She pressured Sam into marriage because she didn't want to be a single mom, and he agreed. Smack. Bonehead. You can imagine why this didn't work out. Yeah, gee whiz. Anyway, Sam and I became best friends in the workplace. Another male best friend admirer, huh? He would tell me stories about his divorce, and I would tell him embarrassing childhood stories about Rob and John. Yeah, well, she left some other stories about Rob and John out, conveniently. Oh yeah, didn't I mention we all work together? Rob and John are in the different departments, but it's a pretty close-knit company. So he knew I had dated Rob in high school, but never knew about me hooking up with John. Hooking up, you say that like it was one time. This was many times of wild, crazy, best SCX ever. They all work together. This is just getting better and better. When I told him I was moving out of John's house, he asked me why, and I just said we were getting older and it was time for me to get a new place, which was absolutely true. This just happened to be the same day that he confessed his longtime feelings for me, and we began to date. Part 3, the problem. About half a year ago, we decided to move in together. His lease was ending, and I owned my house, so he moved into my place. He sometimes works really late nights, and on occasion, I'll have Rob or John over to keep me company. We see the problem here. When he does, she can't hang out by herself. She can't just relax and chill and watch reruns of Gilmore Girls or Felicity or something like that. No, she has to have a male over the house to pay attention to her. Last night he was meant to be working until 11 p.m. John was here and we were hanging out in the living room. It was about 10:30 p.m. and we were drinking a bit and talking kind of loudly. John mentioned to me that his girlfriend was always jealous or worried that he and I had feelings for each other. I said that was silly and that just because two people had great sex doesn't mean that they're in love. Yeah, they may not be in love, but doesn't mean they're going to go back to having the great SCX, because she has fond memories of his sausage. And notice she said we were drinking. Didn't this get them into hooking up to begin with, getting drunk? He's that guy for her, that they can just get trashed, party, all that, and he'll always be on the side. No guy wants his girlfriend to have a dude that she hangs out with that's like that. And by the way, if a girl had a boyfriend and his two best friends just so happened to be women who in the past he slept with regularly, and one of those girls was the best sex he ever had, do you think she might have a problem with this? You bet your ass. and no one would have a problem with her having a problem. But if a guy has a problem with it, then he's insecure. As I said, we were talking pretty loudly, so I guess Sam came in at some point and heard me say that. I didn't even hear him unlock the front door, but he stormed into the living room and confronted me, asking when John and I had you-know-what. He looked equal parts disappointed and angry. John left because he didn't want to be involved in our argument. I explained everything. Everything, I guarantee you. He didn't get everything. I told him John and I used to hook up when we lived together, and that was part of the reason I moved out of his place, because it wasn't healthy for us to have that kind of relationship. It had been 4 years, and we rarely ever spoke about it, and it hasn't affected our friendship at all. Until it does. But it doesn't matter. And she should have told him. If they're in a serious relationship, she should have told him. But she conveniently left this out. This is why I tell you guys, you got to really get to know your girl and draw boundaries and ask her about her past. And if she isn't forthright about her past, you got reason to walk away. No best guy friends. Period. It's your girlfriend. She should be hanging out with him, texting, or any of that stuff at all. Only problems will come about, and you're going to see there'll be problems. Sam now tells me he's uncomfortable with the fact that I have slept with both of these people that I consider my best friends in the world. He's also uncomfortable with the fact that just a few days before he and I got together, that I had you-know-what with John. He says it taints our entire relationship because I lied to him about it. I think he's being a bit too puritanical about it. Of course, I have a past, and why does it matter if it was only a few days before, since it didn't mean anything? It's not like I had feelings for John, and we always used protection and frequently got tested. The fact that she says she frequently got tested says a lot. And I told Sam that so it's not like he's concerned about his health risks. He's just jealous, and he wants me to hang out with John less. And he doesn't feel comfortable with us drinking together at all. He also insists I should make new friends and separate myself a bit from Rob and John, because it's weird that both people that I'm closest with are people who've seen me naked. You can't blame this guy at all. And again, like I said a few minutes ago, if the situation was reversed and she found out that her guy here, his two best friends, are women who are good looking and had the most amazing SEX ever in the past, both of them, she'd have a problem with that. And no one would blame her, and no one would label her nasty things as insecure or jealous. But if a guy has issue with it, oh, well, insecure, jealous. It's bullshit. I think he's being entirely unreasonable. John and I both are in relationships, and we have no feelings for each other whatsoever. You sure about that, honey? The fact that we hooked up with each other for a while is something we want to leave in the past. Just because it happened in the past doesn't mean it's not important in the present or the future. And to bring Rob into this is just ridiculous. It's been 15 years since he had anything to do with each other romantically, and he's now married with kids. Maybe this Rob character a little bit, but this guy maybe a little bit because it was 15 years ago in high school, and it was a quick relationship, and it didn't work out, and she broke up with him, and he's married now. Maybe a little bit, but even then, honestly, I'd be like, no. But the other guy, who was her chatter tyrone, oh, hell no. I think Sam just wants to punish me or something because he's weirdly jealous. I honestly don't know what to do to make up this situation. Well, if I was this Sam guy, upon finding this out, I would say, look, here's the deal. Either A, you can have me as your boyfriend, or B, you can have those two as your BFFs. You're not going to have both. You have a choice. That's it. End of story. Or, no, there is no or. And the fact that she lied about this whole time really makes me even think, would you even go that far? And say, you know what, you lied about this whole time. This whole time we're hanging out with these guys. Meanwhile, in the past, you're hooking up, particularly the one left and right. And I just don't buy a lot of what you're talking about. Maybe we just to part ways. Who knows? But at the very least, you have a choice. We can either be together, or you can be BFS with those two, but you're not going to have both. And there's a problem with it. Hey, no problem. You know, I wish you the best. That's what I think he should do. Now, on to the update. And you see, this story was posted a long time ago. This was sent by a subscriber. And I think like 8 years ago. And then like 2 years after that, she posted an update. And wait till you see what happens now. After she put this idea out in the world and got a little more life experience to see that maybe the Sam guy isn't too unreasonable after all. She says as an update, I know it's over a year later and probably no one remembers this post, but I'll never forget it because hearing from all you Redditors changed my life and saved my relationship. So if there's anyone here who read my last post, you deserve to know that you were right. Huh. Right, huh? About what? After reading all the comments on the last post, I realized that Sam was not overreacting at all and would have been more than reasonable to break up with me because of this. There you go. I showed him my post and we had a long discussion in which I promised I would never hang out with Rob or John alone again. Why may that be? Remember how she was all insecure and jealous and all that crap, all those labels? She posted a thing online, clearly she got roasted. And then obviously he probably had some balls and laid down the law with her. I told him I loved him so much, and he was the most important person in my life, and I would do anything to gain his trust back, even if he wanted me to stop seeing my friends altogether. He said it wasn't necessary, and he didn't mind if I saw them alone occasionally. Smack. No, bad idea. Just he would prefer if it were in public and not at night, late at night with alcohol involved. You're damn freaking right. He felt sorry for being judgmental of me, but I told him that was completely right about my relationship with John was inappropriate. I just needed someone like this to make me see it. So I moved past it fairly easily, and we are actually now married. It was a courthouse wedding on our 5th anniversary. Very lovely. I think between posting it online and hearing people around the world saying, "What the hell, girl? You hooked up with both these dudes. You're hanging out with the one who was the best SCX ever, drinking late in the night with him." What do you expect this guy to react? And I do think that she's kind of not mentioning probably Sam laid down the law with her, but just don't want to post that part. See what happens, guys, when you speak up, when you act like a freaking man, you draw some boundaries and say, Either they're going to accept your terms or they won't, and you split up and you find somebody better. So either way, now here's the part where everyone was right. After my conversation with Sam, John and I drifted apart a bit. I still hung out with Rob and his wife, but John broke up with his girlfriend and I no longer felt comfortable being with him alone. So he and I would hang out with Rob, but that happened to be once or twice a month, where before we would see each other a few times a week. She was hanging out with this dude, Mr. Best Sex Ever, a few times a week. She really likes having dudes around for the attention. Then last Thanksgiving, when Sam and I announced we were getting married, John actually left dinner early. He replied shortly to all my messages, didn't return my phone calls, and barely spoke to me. I didn't see him again until my wedding in December. Pay attention to people's actions. Sounds like John is a little upset about her getting married. You can guess where this is going. Thankfully, nothing happened at the wedding, although that would have made for a great screenplay, as someone in the comment on the last post mentioned. It was a small ceremony, just our families, a couple of Sam's friends, Rob, his wife, and John. We went out to a restaurant for a reception dinner, and John seemed withdrawn the entire time. I guess he was not happy that I was married. So since Sam and I got back from our honeymoon in January, I've seen John maybe twice. Once for Easter and again for Rob's birthday. I try to say hi at work, but he always makes an excuse and walks away. He didn't even come to Sam's birthday last month. After that, I decided I would stop trying to reach out to him and he could talk to me when he was ready. Obviously, John is in love with her. Probably just doing his thing for a while. Probably figured one day they would just get back together. One of those situations. And you know what? Sam, her boyfriend here, now husband, obviously sensed something. And he was right. Last week, he was finally ready. Sam was offered an opportunity to travel abroad for 8 months with his job, with me, and invited to come along. We decided to accept it, and I suppose John saw Sam's Facebook post about it because the next day John sought me out at work. He asked me if I was really leaving the country for 8 months, and when I said yes, he asked why I couldn't stay. I asked why he cared if I stayed when we hadn't really spoken in months, and he said, "I'm sorry, never mind," and walked away. But at that point, it was clearer than ever what was really going on. He was hoping that the husband would go away and he could have time with her and win her back or some bullshit like that. This is yet another example why, guys, you have girlfriends and wives, they can't have guys that they're buddies with. Hang out with, talk with, text with, all that. It's a bad idea. So Sam and I are leaving in September. His job will still be waiting for him when he gets back. But I decided to find a new one. I'm glad that I'll be out of the country for a bit. I feel really stupid to not have realized that John could have feelings for me. There's never been anything there on my end, so I just assumed it was the same for him since we were able to be roommates and friends with benefits. It seems obvious now. It was obvious to Sam. Everyone who commented on my last post was spot on about our relationship not being normal, and I'm so glad that Reddit was able to see what I wasn't. I am so deliriously happily in love with my husband. I don't even want to think about what would happen had it not posted here. So thank you all again. I hope this update is in some way satisfying. Well, it's been interesting, and this only backs up why I say men and women can't be friends, because if they're attracted to each other, it's just not going to work, okay? And especially in a situation like this, that she had a past with both of them. Again, the one guy, it was high school, and it didn't work out, and he's married and all that. Maybe on some level, like, they all hang out together. That's one thing. But this other dude, it's only been just a few years, and for 8 months or longer, they were hooking up left and right. Best sex ever. No. Not happening. Okay? Bad idea. And because a lot of times when these gals hang out with these guys are just waiting for their shot. They're waiting that if she and her boyfriend get into a fight or an argument, that in a moment of weakness, she'll sleep with him. That's what they're waiting for. It's just a bad idea. And again, as I said before, you think she'd be cool if her guy Sam had 2 girlfriends he slept with, they hung out regularly, she'd come home, they're drinking at late night. No freaking way. And you wouldn't be able to blame her. So anyway, guys, that'd be a good one here to go over here. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you got a good story like to share, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it, and I definitely will. And also, if you do find these good stories, make sure you include the link. A lot of guys send me these stories. They sound great, and it's like, where the hell is the link? And I never hear from them again. So the easier it is for me to get stories, the more I can crank them out and keep doing these things every day, sometimes twice a day, because I know you guys really enjoy hearing these stories and the entertainment factor. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.